Here we go again. I mean, this is the truth show. Here we go again. I'm not done yet. Oh, there's more. Oh, I'm not done yet. I mean, this is the truth show. Oh, yes.
Hello. Hello. Tonight we're diving into the disappearance of Daniel Robinson, a 24-year-old geologist who drove into Arizona desert and allegedly vanished. No footprints, no blood, no confirmed sighting, just a crashed Jeep scattered. Yes, this case is so mysterious. It would take you through so many crazy scenarios and loops. I am still baffled by the whole case. The more I dive deep, the more I uncover about this case. Now, believe it or not, this case literally fell into my lap around 2021. I think I even still have his picture on one of my files, and I was going to do a case about him because he's a geologist and it's a field that I was thinking about going into a long time ago. and I thought it was very intriguing because there aren't many Black geologists, believe it or not. And he was going to be one of few, and I thought it was very impressive. Anyway, but getting back to this case, so we're going to look at this case from three angles, actually several different angles. The investigation, the psychology, and the intuition. This is not a gossip show anymore. This is a study, okay? Enlightenment, truth seeker, something that I always wanted to do and something that would ease my conscience. So that's currently where we're at the moment. With that said, here is your intro. Alrighty, fantastic. Now, starting this off, we're going to give you a little background of Daniel Cornelius Robinson, who was 24 years old at the time of his death and was born in 1997. I believe his birthday was January 15th, 1997. He was born in Columbia, South Carolina, disappeared on June 23rd, 2021, while working at a remote groundwater site in Buckeye, Arizona. He was last seen leaving the job site near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in the early morning, driving his 2017 blue gray Jeep Renegade west toward the desert. Okay. Robinson was about 5'8" inches tall. He weighed 165 pounds. had brown hair and brown eyes, and he was born missing part of his right forearm, but he didn't let that stop him. They offered him a prosthetic arm, but he didn't want one. He was resilient, and he also played different sports like football, weightlifting. He also played the trumpet and the French horn while in school. Oh, that is so crazy. I played the French horn in school. I also played the piano and the harp. I wouldn't even know how to play well, I probably would still know how to play the French horn, and harp is not that hard to play, believe it or not. The piano, no biggie. Anyway, Daniel wasn't interested in sports or playing music. He was interested in books, adventure, exploring outside history, things of that nature, and Earth. He went on to attend Charleston College, and he was social. He was in a fraternity and so on. He went on to graduate from college of Charleston in 2017 with a degree in geology and worked as a hydrologist for Matrix New World Engineering. Friends and coworkers describe him as calm, intelligent, and reliable. But again, his primary studying goal was to be a geologist, a field where there aren't many of Black people, in that field. But the resilient and adventurous in Daniel, who had a passion for earth structure and composition, history, and so on, he was just all for it. Daniel took advantage of every opportunity to be outdoors, exploring. He also remained in touch with his family every day. I mean, his dad, his sister, whatever. He remained, part of his family remained in South Carolina. His sister was near him in Arizona, and they had plans to go hiking, later on that day, the day he was missing. They were really close. I mean, very close. I mean, close enough where he was able to drive to her house. So she was staying in the same state as he was. Oh, you did? Oh, really? Do you still know how to play it? Hey, Indra. Make sure you guys share. You said no. Okay, let me continue here. Okay, now Daniel's father, who is this gentleman here, this handsome gentleman here, David Robinson II, an Army veteran, has led organizing desert searchers in a website. Please help find Daniel Robinson. He also he put it like this, he advocated everywhere, okay? He advocated for the Please Help Find Missing Americans Act, Daniel Robinson Law, which you can find on Facebook, and if you do a Google search, you'll be able to find it as well, okay? To improve missing person investigations. The family continues to accept tips and has posted flyers nationwide. He's still searching for his son. He personally funded and led extensive efforts, traveling repeatedly to Arizona, organizing desert searches, following multiple leads, and distributing flyers nationwide, because no parent can walk away from a missing child. You just can't rest. You just can't rest until you know that your child is either okay and unfortunately dead, but at least you have the body and you have some kind of answers. It's just devastating. Okay. Anyway, so yes, he can't walk away from this, but what parent can't? Okay. He sacrificed stability, savings, and normalcy to do everything possible to find Daniel. Now, understand those years of searching came at a devastating personal cost to David. Okay. He accumulated over $70,000 in debt after exhausting his savings, relying on credit and retirement resources. I'm reading verbatim what he had on his website, and postponing and the website link is in the description box, and postponing basic living expenses while searching for his son. Now, this act is not just for ongoing search operation advocacy. It is a direct request for help recovering from a financial hardship, credit, and created from years of sacrifice. He said, and I'm going to read verbatim, our support helps him pay down his debt, catch up on essential expenses, and regain financial stability. He states, please help me reach his goal. If you're unable to donate, share the page, which the link is below in the description box, which you should try to donate something if you can. Okay. Or offer encouragement. It still makes a meaningful difference. He says, thank you for seeing him not just an advocate or a headline, but as a father and a veteran asking for help to recover. And please remember, as I move on with this very, very deep conspiracy, seriously, this story is so deep and mysterious. I'm going to say conspiracy. I don't even think that's even a word, but I'm creating it right now because I can't think of a word to combine everything I'm talking about and thinking about what I'm going to talk about. It has conspiracy in it. It has love in it. It has attraction in it. It has some drugs in it. It has everything you will love, but wish it was fiction when it comes to a true crime story. So please remember this quote. When someone's behavior shifts suddenly, it's rarely random. It's either emotional, environmental, or relational. Keep that in mind as I continue on with this case. Okay. The day he vanished, a crashed Jeep. Okay. Now, to start this off, I want to say this. People don't just drive into the desert without intention. The question is, whose intention was it? Please remember that. But, people like to say, that's not the case, but it is the case. Okay. Now that we got that out of the way, now that you have some background about Daniel, let's fast forward to the date of him becoming missing. Now, Daniel disappeared on June 23rd, 2021, while working at a remote groundwater site in Buckeye, Arizona. He was last seen leaving the site near Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road in the early morning, driving his 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade west toward the desert. That's his Jeep right there. That's him. The most recent pictures of him, I'm assuming. Now, according to coworkers, one person whose name is Ken Elliott, said Daniel arrived at the site around 9 to 9:30 a.m., depending on the interview or whoever interviewed Kim. His story go up and down, around. He just could never get the story straight up for real. Okay. Ken changed his story often. I'm just going to point that out. Okay. Now, before I get deep in this statement, I think it's fair for me to tell you more about Ken Elliott. Okay. Because you're going to need a background little snip so you can understand the story at hand. And that will help you build up some kind of analysis about each person I'm talking about. Okay. So Ken Elliott, a pump technician at a remote well site in Buckeye, Arizona, as we know, was the last person to see Daniel Robinson before Robinson disappeared on June 23rd, 2021. Ken Elliott and Daniel Robinson, were working together for the Matrix New World Engineering, with Elliott as a pump technician and Robinson as a field geologist. Also, remember, Elliott had never met Robinson before that day. From what I gathered, they weren't friends. They weren't close at all. They were only assigned to the same, job site. Now that you know the background of this Kenneth, let's get back to the story at hand. Now, Kenneth said it was either raining or about to rain. He can't figure out what the weather was that day. Depends on who interviewing Ken. They discussed the weather at the job, but Daniel became distracted, looking off into the desert with a very distant look. In his eyes, Ken noted that Daniel's pupils were not dilated, so he didn't think it was drugs, but he wasn't sure if it was a medical condition. Now, at some point, he turned back toward his Jeep, got in, put on his seatbelt, looked at Ken, and waved before backing up and driving away. Now, Ken told his coworkers by phone that Daniel seemed unwell and will likely call in sick. So you got to understand this. Ken speak to him. He didn't get into a long bone conversation or anything of the nature. And already, this Ken is already coming up with some analysis on how Dan is acting, when Daniel is acting. And he get on the phone and tell all his little homeboys, like, oh my God, Daniel is going in. Why would he do that? And why is it any of their concern? That's the part that's really crazy. Keep that in mind as I move on here. Now, investigators and a Reddit post analyzing Ken's statements found inconsistencies in the time he gave for Daniel's arrival. and departure. In his first interview, Ken said Daniel arrived at 9 a.m. and left at 9:15, but later said they arrived at 9:30. Okay. You said they arrived, like Daniel arrived at 9:30 and left at 9:45. These changes may have been to match a missed call from Daniel's phone to Ken at 9:28, which Ken later claimed he had forgotten about. So who really was high that day? I'm just saying. Ken also said that he drove around looking for him the next day when he noticed that Daniel didn't show up. Well, and please note that a geologist for entry-level geologist salary, now national range, they make between $48,000 to $63,000. Okay. Environmental / field geologist makes between $45,000 to $58,000. Okay. Southwest region, the Arizona area where Daniel was, they make between $50,000 to $62,000. Now, hourly field work, they only make between $23 an hour to $27 an hour. Now, Daniel likely earned between $50,000 and $60,000 based on his role in region, but considering it seems that he was doing Instacart way extra Monday that day, per what his father had said and other people, I'm not sure if he was getting that type of money as of yet. He probably was just getting paid hourly. I'm just saying. With that said, take a look at these clips.
To this day, Daniel Robinson has not been found. From what I can tell, his dad and other people are still searching for him, but no luck. This is another creepy TikTok video that I got tagged in. It shows an image of a geologist by the name of Daniel Robinson. It shows a couple images of the desert, and it says, POV, your time machine breaks in Arizona 2021, and you find out what really happened to Daniel Robinson in the desert. For context, Daniel Robinson was a 24-year-old geologist working at a site in Arizona. On June 23rd of 2021, he went missing shortly after leaving the site he was working at. On July 19th of 2021, his Jeep was found in a nearby ravine with him nowhere in sight. Authorities did find some really weird inconsistencies with the crash, and they stated that potentially the scene was staged, although that was not officially ruled. To this day, we still don't know exactly what happened to Daniel Robinson. We don't know where he is. All of the circumstances surrounding his disappearance are very strange. I would recommend reading up on it. There have also been areas where people have been found decades later, even still alive. So hopefully, this is one of those scenarios. We'll see. Only time will tell.
A man's crashed Jeep was found in the desert, but the driver had completely vanished. This is the mystery of Daniel Robinson. In June 2021, Daniel Robinson, a geologist from Arizona, left a remote job site in the desert. He drove away in his Jeep, then vanished. Days later, his crashed vehicle was found in a remote ravine. The strange part? Investigators found evidence that the Jeep had been driven after the crash. Some of Daniel's belongings were missing, but Daniel himself was nowhere to be found. Search teams spent months looking through the desert. Volunteers joined the effort. Drones scanned the area, yet no trace of Daniel was ever found. His disappearance remains one of the puzzling modern mysteries in America. How does a man vanish from a desert after a crash? And where is Daniel Robinson today? What do you think happened?
Now, here's where things get really heated, ladies and gentlemen. Make sure you guys are sharing because it's about to get real steamy in here, baby. Okay, now, as you heard, his Jeep was found in the desert. He wasn't in the Jeep. Just want to point out there were other skeleton remains around, but none of them belonged to Daniel. Okay? His clothes is there. Phone was there. All of it. Seatbelt was even buckled, but he wasn't there. Now, the other theory, now here is a theory that came up midway through the investigation. Okay? And on my list of suspects, I titled this The Secret Woman. Even though she's technically not secret, but you get the gist. And this is going to be mentioned several freaking times, but just I am a visual person and I like to give you guys a visual. Okay. This canopy tent is what he used when he's out in field. And then he more than likely probably have a sleeping bag or something like that to sleep on or whatever the case may be. To protect him from the sun and just protect him from nature itself. You know, you want to take a nap because you'll be out there for a long time. Okay, getting back to the secret woman here. Now, the other theory is that private investigator Jeff McGrath claimed that Daniel may have gone on an all-night video game binge because of some woman named Katelyn. It's been reported that Daniel was obsessed with the woman he barely knew and disappeared just hours after sending her a desperate final text message. This is what he wrote. The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can or we can. Whatever, to name it. I either see you again or never see you again. That was the last message he wrote this Katelyn person. But we need to back up a little bit, okay? Let's back up a little bit. He wrote the woman identified only as Katelyn. Now, then 18 hours later, Robinson turned up at a remote work site deep in the Arizona desert outside the booming town of Buckeye. He stayed for 15 minutes and drove off. That's when he spoke to Ken, allegedly. He has not been seen or heard from since. Okay. Now, but reported obsession with this woman he met delivering her liquor while working his side job and his despondency over her unrequited feelings has up to now been overlooked. They asked his dad, David, if he knew about anything about this girl. And he said Daniel didn't tell him anything about this girl. But please remember, this was his first real relationship and the first time he's been with a woman, if you know what I mean. Okay. And the police reports about him telling everyone that he was obsessed with her was a lie. He only mentioned that he met a girl, that's it, and a question about love without being specific. So he was pretty, standoffish, short when it came to her. So this rumor about him being obsessed and talking to everybody about it was not true. And it's amazing how that rumor spread throughout that town. So keep that in mind. Okay, now we need to get real deep now. This is where I get really deep, ladies and gentlemen. Seriously. Okay, we are going to go seriously. These phone calls he had with this girl. It is so freaking crazy. If I were you, ladies and gentlemen, I think you need to get some snacks. I would give you 30 seconds to get some snacks. I'll play a little intro that I made if I can find it. I don't even think I put it up here, to be real with you. I created this little, I do have it up here. Okay, look. I don't know if it's the updated one. I'm going to play this little intro, and I want you guys to go get some snacks because you're about to get real. Y'all know me, I entertain you, and I go real deep. It's a reason why people don't like me. It's a reason why they, shut down my channel. 6 times demonetized it 5 times, and currently manipulate my numbers. Yeah, and my money. It's a reason why I'm the most feared and hated person on YouTube. So I'm going to give you guys a 42-second break to get your snack and sit your ass here and please interact in the comment section. You can comment. I don't know why you guys don't comment. What the hell? I mean, are you guys viewing me? Or I'm just being viewed to a certain view of people because all you're doing is confirming my theories. Anyway, so here's the break.
Touch it, shut up and bend over. Aye. Let your back do the talking over. So fuck up.
Okay, we are back. Now let's get into this. Oh my gosh, I am so excited because seriously, y'all don't know me in true crime. I'm a true crime addict. My entire streaming algorithm is a bunch of true crime. Seriously, true crime, nature, disaster movies. I love those for some reason they don't think it scares me because that's the only thing that can really happen. If it's based on reality and realistic things, I'm all for it. But that fake stuff just annoys the heck out of me. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let me get rid of this here. Yeah, we're gonna get rid of that. Oop. We're gonna get rid of that because it's gonna be in the way. Okay. All right. Now, first, I want to say this. This is the conversation that Daniel Robinson had with this Katelyn person. This is the contact timeline between June 12th, 2021 to the 17th, 2021. Okay. Now, this is built only from what Katelyn chose to upload. No timestamps, just unknown omissions. I should say that because that's really important right now. Now, Katelyn says, June 12th, this is the first contact. Katelyn says she and a friend were drunk when they invited Daniel over because he was cute, short, and had one arm. Well, a short arm, so to speak. Daniel, they hung out, they clicked, and Daniel spent the night, so he did hit it. Daniel left his canopy tent at her house, a field item he used for shade and rest. She later sent him a positive thinking podcast that was based on religion, positive thinking, whatever religious podcasts are. I don't really listen to them, but apparently this is really important in terms of his attitude change. So keep that in mind. Okay. They exchanged texts back and forth. Now, no, please note this. The police did not seize her phone or obtain a warrant. So everything comes from what she chose to upload. Keep that notated. Everything comes from what she chose to upload. And if you guys have an Apple phone or anything of the nature, you are able to delete text and make it look like the talking feed was something else. So we all have done it. I have done it, especially if I'm talking about something personal and I want anyone who come across the phone, or if I just don't want it in my feed in general, I would delete it. You know what I'm saying? So please know that everything we're hearing or we're talking about is what Katelyn chose to upload. And I'm telling you right now, yeah, you guys start sensing something about this text feed that doesn't make sense. Now we on June 14th. Okay, Daniel reaches out. Daniel contacts her to retrieve his canopy tent because he left it there. Katelyn tells him he can come over whenever. Daniel says he'll come the next day. Then we're on June 15th. The alleged first creepy claim. Daniel texts asking for directions to pick up the canopy. Katelyn claims she didn't answer because she was out of town. Later, she says she saw him on her security camera, which she found odd because she thought he didn't have her address. She assumed he got it from Instacart. She later told him that was creepy because even though she said he can come over whenever, she thought they would at least validate or come on a confirmed time when he get around to coming the next day, not just pop up. So he took whenever as whenever, literally, but apparently she meant whenever, but still call me first, which she should have said, but you know, it is what it is. Okay. Now we on June 16th. Katelyn says she told Daniel she didn't like him showing up unannounced. She claimed she told him she let him know when he could come and get the canopy tent. She also offered to leave it on the porch by the chairs when she went to work. Later that night, Daniel allegedly texts her a heart emoji and says he loves her. Now that's a huge jump from, okay, we just boned 2 days before and I just left my canopy tent to, oh my gosh, I love you. That's a huge jump, but you know, this is what she chose to upload. So we just got to go by what Katelyn claims happened. Is she this irresistible person? Is she look like freaking Princess Di or some porn star and she rocked this virgin world? We got to assume that's what's going on. And Katelyn looks beautiful as fuck. I don't know how Katelyn looked. No one, I don't know. I haven't spoken to the father. I don't even know if the father even knows. I have no idea. But I'm going to say that this girl is coming across like she is the shit. Okay? She coming across as she is literally irresistible. And if you get some of her, she is just, that's the image that she's trying to portray. And she also portraying that she liked to play games, that she get drunk and, she fuck drunk. She get drunk and just fuck drunk. A lot of people, they get drunk and they just fuck people. So she likes to bone people when she get drunk. Some stranger, her and her friend probably did an orgy, hell knows, and rock this virgin boy's world. Who knows? We don't know. She don't tell us everything. Now, getting back to what Katelyn allegedly said. Okay, she offered to leave it on the porch by the chairs when she went to work. Later that night, allegedly, out of the blue, no build-up, okay, he just said, I love you. What the hell? I mean, no build-up. Just randomly, I love you. What the H-E double hockey sticks? She claims she didn't respond because that's out of the blue. I mean, she is irresistible. She's the bomb. I mean, come on now. She's Beyonce, Halle Berry, and all of them rolled in one. I mean, goddamn. Okay, hours later, he texts, sorry. No build-up between these texts. Just fuck, I need my canopy. It's on the porch. I love you. Bam. That's all we have so far. At least that's what she wants us to believe. And then we on June 17th. Okay. Katelyn says Daniel showed up unannounced. Again, she said she told him she didn't like that. She texts him to stop showing up unannounced. Daniel replies that he won't ever again. Point blank, simple. Later that day, Katelyn texts that she doesn't see the canopy in her garage. She goes in the garage, let me just, see if I can get the canopy. Maybe I could leave it on the porch or yada, yada, yada. Daniel replies, that's all right, I already have it. She sends a question mark. Like, how did you get it? Because I'm assuming she never put it on the porch. But then again, we don't know what text was pretty much going on between these texts. There's a lot of missing stuff. Did you tell him you leave it on the porch? Did you say it was in the garage? I mean, we don't know. We only know what she's telling us. So we don't know what happened, what text came before. We don't know. It's a lot of missing crap in this whole thingamajigger here. This whole little interaction between her and the bomb PUSSY kitty cat Katelyn. Because, Katelyn has the bomb kitty cat, apparently. Okay. So she said she told him she didn't like that. She texted him to stop showing up unannounced. Daniel replies that he won't ever again. And later that day, Katelyn texts, she didn't see it in the garage. And, Daniel replies he already got it. She sends a question mark. Probably wondering how he got it. Daniel apologized, says he already grabbed it, and says he wanted to apologize for disappearing the other day. What other day? Was it the first day he left? Because he didn't disappear. He left the next day. See, there's what I'm saying. What other days he's talking about? We don't know. What other day? Did they meet up again and she rocked his world, dropped the Holy Grail kitty cat on him? I don't know. What other day? We don't know. He ends it with a frowny face. Later, he texts again saying he can't stop thinking about her. She claims she didn't respond. But we don't know if she responded. Remember, these are texts that she chose to upload at her convenience and her discretion. Okay. Now, that was it. But don't get your panties and drawers in the bunch because I'm not done yet. Okay. Here's the critical notes if you didn't catch it here. Okay. First of all, there were no timestamps. No police verified logs, no phone seizure. They didn't seize her phone. No warrant for her text. This is what she chose to upload. Only messages she chose to upload are available. So we don't know any of unknown deleted messages, missing messages, reordered messages, tone/context of the messages, the gaps between the messages. This is the biggest hole in the entire freaking case. We only know what she chose to put up there. And apparently this Katelyn person has the bomb kitty cat and she looks like an angel because everyone is literally listening and following everything she say and she make men go nuts. I'm saying that because apparently she has a police department completely on her knees and they're not seeing anything she's saying suspicious. Even a rookie police officer will find it suspicious. Okay. This was in 2017. They knew about phones. Okay. Daniel's apparently losing his mind, leave it to her. Okay, like he just never socialized with a girl ever. He may never bone a girl, but I'm sure he socialized with the girl. But that doesn't matter. I personally want to know how Katelyn looks. She better look like, oh, don't get me started on names. I want to fuck her, and I'm not even gay. Okay, that's who I want to visualize her looking like. She better look bomb is HE double hockey sticks. The way she got these police departments and everyone else falling at their knees. And I'm just being real here. Okay, I'm just saying. Oh yes, oh yes. Now here's the behavior pattern. Okay, this is my behavior pattern card. And this is what makes it seems and pretty much confirmed that there are definite message gaps. Her narrative frames Daniel as creepy, but the evidence is incomplete, unverified, and selectively shared. Her story relies entirely on her uploads, not on police secured data. Okay. Now the canopy tent becomes the anchor object and the reason for the allegedly repeated contact. At least that's what she wants us to think. Okay. Oh, I'm not done yet. 2 days passed. Daniel didn't contact her for 2 days. At least that's what she says. So apparently him being obsessed is not really proven because he calls late. He goes hours without calling her. He goes 2 days without calling. I mean, judging from what I'm saying, he just, okay, who cares? But let her tell it. She has the Holy Grail kitty cat and she is beautiful as HE double hockey stick. She makes all the beautiful people you know look like ugly fooglies. Okay, I'm just going to point that out there. Okay, so we have the crime board expansion. That's what I'm calling here because 2 days later, there was a text. At least that's what she says. June 19th, it was an attempt to reconnect. Daniel texts asking if they can hang out. Katelyn replies an hour later, saying she's not at home. Daniel replies, okay. Again, I mean, seemed pretty simplistic, but whatever. Now, I want you guys to draw your red string if you're following it on your own board. Now, this is neutral interaction, no escalation, no pressure. Now, please notate here. His tone is calm. Hers is distancing. He seemed calm, not like, I need to see you. Oh my gosh, I need to see you. Why are you dissing me like that? What did I do? I need to see you. He's not sounding desperate to me, but I'm assuming that's the image that she's trying to portray, but I'm not saying it at all. And then June 20th, midnight, he sends, I love you. Okay. Daniel texts, I love you. Katelyn says she didn't reply. So she says. And then 8:28, Daniel texts, asking if she was home. Katelyn replies, you showing up unannounced may be uncomfortable, and I don't see us hanging out anytime soon. Daniel replies, do you have any doubt? Because I guess I have to be okay with your answer. See, that's what I'm saying. For him to just jump to that, I feel like there's some conversation missing. Katelyn says she didn't reply, so she says. Now, I want you guys to draw your red string here, connect the dots here. Now, this is the first time she explicitly rejects him. This is also the first time he expresses emotional confusion. Now, notate this, my profilers. This exchange feels incomplete. The emotional jump is too abrupt for the fragment she provided. See, it seemed for him to jump to this kind of emotion, I feel like there is something in some conversations we are definitely missing. And she's definitely trying to portray as herself being a victim and trying to portray him being a creep. But we already know that she out there like that because she just saw some random Instacart dude, brought him in, got him drunk, and jumped on his bones. Probably both both her and her girlfriend probably did. Who knows? Who knows? We don't know. But we have to believe what she is saying at this current moment. Okay. Now let's jump to June 21st. Okay. Daniel, now this, remember, we don't know if there was any other interaction after that last text of, when he says, do you have any doubt? But I guess I have to be okay with your answer. Like, okay, was there any other interaction between? We don't know. We only know what she said. So June 21st, the conversation in the house, Daniel texts, how are you feeling? Apparently that was out of the blue. Let her tell it. Katelyn says she didn't reply. So she says. And then 3:46, Daniel texts, I'm outside your place. You see the jump there? Okay, he says, how are you feeling? Katelyn didn't say, so he just said, okay, let me just go by her house. Okay. See, that's the thing. It's a huge jump from, unless he just socially idiot, I mean, just idiot, or he socially, I don't know, not there. But judging from his friends and his family, oh, Daniel was very social. Okay, that was one of his key characteristics. He was very social. So interacting is not something he lacked. He wasn't a shy person. So this jump for how are you feeling to, oh, let me just jump by our house is a huge jump. That's not feeling. Something was built up here, and for him saying I'm outside your place makes me think that she was expecting him. But then she, goes wishy-washy. Maybe she had a boyfriend in the house or something. And, she want her boyfriend to know that, Daniel was out there, some random dude that she's been screwing on the side. Who knows? Katelyn replies with multiple question marks saying this isn't okay. Daniel replies, I guess it's not. You probably like, okay, but you told me to come by. Katelyn responds, not you guess. I told you this wasn't okay and not to come to my house unannounced. And he responds, are you okay with me? Katelyn replies, no, this isn't normal nor acceptable. Daniel asks, what is normal? Katelyn replies, make your plans before showing up at someone's home. And if someone had expressed to you that you made them uncomfortable, you need to back off. Daniel asks, do you hate me? Katelyn replies, I don't hate you, but please leave me alone. Hours later, apparently, Daniel didn't say anything else. And judging from what she said, and when she responded at the last point right here, I don't hate you, please leave me alone. My senses and intuition telling me that he went into details on why he was acting like this. Like, okay, first you do this, first we did this, first we did that, first you did this, and now you saying leave me alone. You are so confused and that. That's what I'm feeling, that it was rebuttal afterwards, and she deleted all that text because that would reveal her intentions and her actions. Okay, so keep those responses in mind that he may have said. 2 hours later, Daniel replies, you're right. Like there was a huge argument between I don't hate you, please leave me alone, and to him ending, and the one that she didn't delete, you're right. So I want you to draw a red string. Now, this is the last known emotional exchange before Daniel disappears. This is also the most suspiciously incomplete conversation I have ever read in my entire freaking life. Okay. Now, please notate, the pacing of this conversation is unnatural for the fragment she provided. Because we can definitely say that there were missing messages, deleted messages, tone shifts, emotional contacts removed. Seriously, it was a lot of context removed. Gaps in the time, missing lead-in messages, okay? Not just blatantly saying stuff, okay? Missing follow-ups, like, okay, from her saying, I don't hate you, please leave me alone. It's a lot of missing messages between there. It has to be, okay? Okay. Now, here's my psychological analysis of these days, of this whole little thing we got going on here, okay? Now, please remember the last message that he sent, apparently, now remember, if there was a lot of buildup in between, which I think it was, the last message after you're right, he texted, the world can get better, but I have to take remember the message I said earlier, but I have to take all the time I can or we can, whatever to name it. I'll either see you again or never see you again. Like he didn't even care. I'm getting that he didn't care. But she wanted to build him up like he, was an obsessed creep because, she has the Holy Grail kitty cat and she looks beautiful as heck and body banger. Who knows? But I'm just saying, that's what I'm getting here. Okay. But I'm sensing there was a lot of feedback and a lot of messages between I don't hate you, please leave me alone, and him saying you're right and the world can get better, yada, 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 yada. There's a lot of missing pieces there. Now, again, here's my psychological analysis of these new days, okay? Now you got to understand here. This is my profiling interpretation between June 19 and 21, and 21st. Her narrative tightened as his interest increases. The more emotionally open Daniel becomes, the more she delayed responses. At least that's what she wants us to believe. Short replies, use moral language, unacceptable, not normal. Frames herself as uncomfortable. Frame him as inappropriate because we don't know if there was deleted text in between. Okay. This is the classic distancing pattern that she wanted us to believe. Okay. Now here's the missing context, equal narrative control. Okay. These days contain the highest emotional stakes yet. Okay. She provides no time steps except 2. She provides no screenshots. She provides no message order. She provides no tone. She provides no proof of her claims. This is a selective storytelling that she wanted to tell. Okay, that's obvious. Her language becomes more performative. Her replies shift from casual to moralizing, corrective, instructional, and image protective. This is the language of someone who's literally curating a narrative, not simply texting. She's trying to curate her own story, not the actual text that was brought forth, because his text reply back is incomplete. And he was a very intelligent man. He graduated the head of his class. He was very intelligent. Okay. Now his emotional tone changes abruptly, let her tell it. Daniel messages shift from apparently affection, confusion, apology, seeking reassurance, acceptance. Now this is the emotion arc of someone who feels rejected, not someone who is creepy. He feels rejected, but not creepy, because he was like, okay, if I see you, I don't. Okay, it is what it is. Boom, blah, blah, who gives a damn? That's what I'm getting. Okay. Now, and then we come to June 21st, where the exchange feels edited. The emotional jumps too sharp. The pacing is unnatural. The tone is inconsistent. The conversation feels cut down and apparently deleted. I mean, it seems all over the place. This is the most suspicious day in her uploads, literally. Like, a lot of crap is missing. Okay. And then we have June 22nd, the day before the disappearance. Daniel, remember I told you that last text? This is the last text. Apparently, after she said, I don't hate you, just please leave me alone. And he said, you're right, blah, blah, blah. Like a huge missing gap there. His last text from her, let her tell it. The world can get better, but I have to take all the time I can, or we can, whatever, to name it. I either see you again or I never see you again. It's okay, whatever it is, who gives a damn? That's the point I'm getting. It was told that he never texted again. So she said, we only know what the hell she said. Okay. Now, here's the updated suspect behavior pattern. Okay. Now, understand this. Here's the behavior flags that you guys should really recognize. Delay responses during emotional moments. Use moral language to frame herself as the victim. Provides only fragments of the most important conversations. Emotional pacing suggests missing messages. That's obvious. Her replies sounded curated, not conversational. She repeatedly said, I did reply, so I say, which is what distancing language, because she didn't reply, so she say. Now, the June 21st confrontation feels very edited. Her narrative becomes more defensive as the days progress. She positions herself as uncomfortable after initially intimacy. She provides no evidence of her claims behind or beyond her uploads. So we have to believe that they screwed. He left the next day and she was done. And he apparently had an understanding this is a one-night stand. Everything was copacetic. Like, thank you for whatever. I'm done. Leave me the hell alone. Who are you? She wants us to believe that's all that transpired between us two. Just hit it and quit it. A drunken nightstand bump. Rump and a pump. Whatever. That's what she wants us to believe that pretty much happened between her and Daniel. And he had a complete understanding in that, but him asking for his canopy tent and her procrastinating about the stupid freaking tent is the only time and only reason they communicated back and forth. She wanted us to believe that was the only freaking time, and he's just obsessed because she had the bomb kitty cat, and he just wanted more and more and more because she has the bomb kitty cat. But I don't believe that was all. But here are some videos, well, a video that I want you to check out.
Breaking news, Daniel Robinson's father now says foul play is suspected and also revealed his final text messages. Daniel Robinson had a second job working for Instacart. It was during this time he met a woman while delivering her groceries. Katelyn said she believed Daniel was very nice and she and her female friend asked if he wanted to come in and hang out with them. Katelyn said her and her friend were, quote, drunk. Her and Daniel exchanged numbers, but nothing further happened. Daniel fell in love with the girl and sent her a series of messages. One of those messages to Katelyn said, quote, I couldn't stop thinking about you. And then on June 20th, he said, I love you. However, she denied him and she said, quote, honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced made me extremely uncomfortable. I don't see us hanging out anytime soon. The next day, Daniel showed up at her house again. She said, this isn't normal nor acceptable. Someone has expressed to you that you've made them uncomfortable. You need to back off. Daniel replied with, quote, do you hate me? Where Katelyn said back, I do not hate you, but please leave me alone. He took 15 hours to respond with his final text to her, and 18 hours after that, he vanished. A colleague of his told him that he was concerned and thought something was wrong with Daniel. When he asked Daniel what was bothering, he said, what if there was a girl you liked but you couldn't have? Daniel's father has also now spoken out regarding foul play. Take a listen.
Did hire a private investigator. This was in 2021 after the vehicle showed up. And the reason why, because I did not agree with the assessment of the Buckeye Police Department at the time. My son, I didn't believe my son suffered a severe injury that caused him to kick it out the sunroof, shred all his clothes off, hide under a tree, join the monastery and become a monk. So they gave me, I had to get a second opinion about that. Of course, what he found is inconsistencies up front of what the Buckeye Police Department assessment of my son's case accident that happened at the crime scene. First of all, he looked at the vehicle and noticed that the damage on the vehicle do not match the terrain. For instance, he also found red transfer paint that was on the passenger side, the part that's lying on the ground. The vehicle came in contact with something red. There's nothing red in the desert. So, of course, that was his first initial assessment. Just they went through the black box data and found that after the airbag deployment, the vehicle was driven 11 additional miles. Also, there was 46 initial cycles. Someone was cranking the vehicle 46 times. Something that was physically impossible if a vehicle lying on the passenger side is impossible to do. So those things gave him pause as well. And also, he also found that the vehicle, the first accident happened around 1 o'clock, that based on the infotainment system, they had sent out to California for analysis. So there's some information like that, plus with the testimony of the rancher who found the vehicle, who testified and said the vehicle was not there 2 days prior. He physically looked at it because he watched seeing his cattle come down that ravine. It wasn't there. He came back 2 days on July the 19th, and he found the vehicle. He's the one who reported it to law enforcement. The vehicle wasn't there. So a couple of those things together, my investigator found that there was a form of foul play there, and the vehicle was staged. It's a staging area. And so we've been going on our investigation based on those facts.
I'll keep you guys updated. What do you think? Drop in the comments.
All righty. Okay. Now let's get into some deep talk here, ladies and gentlemen. The discovery of the Jeep. I'm going to reiterate pretty much what he said, but I'm just going to go into more detail, okay? Nearly a month following his disappearance on July 19, 2021, Daniel's Jeep was discovered overturned in a ravine, situated about 3 miles from his last known work location, just 3 miles, literally. Although the airbags had deployed and the seatbelt was engaged, Daniel was nowhere to be found. Investigators recovered his keys, wallet, phone, and clothing at the site. Interestingly, data suggests the engine had been cycled multiple times after the vehicle came to a rest. So when it stopped, someone tried to start it multiple times again. There were human skulls and plenty of skulls you probably find out there in the damn desert, but none of them match him, but they were all found in the vicinity. Okay. Oh, yeah. It gets crazy. Absolutely. Now, listen to here, before I get into the digital and physical breach here. A significant discrepancy exists regarding the timeline. A local rancher, as you heard his father David say, reported seeing that car in the general area on July 17, 2021, but explicitly stated it was not in that specific ravine until he returned on July 19. Now, this has led the Robinson family to conclude that the vehicle had not been at the crash site for the full 30 days he was missing, which means someone more than likely recently just put it there. your mind would be like, okay, it was just like 3 miles from where his job site was, so he must have just went over there after the site, after being there with alleged kin, and just got lost or whatever. And he's been there since. Okay, we've been there since, and it's someone would have noticed him by then. I mean, because they went looking for him, and everyone knew he went missing 24 hours, 48 hours. They went looking for him, so they would have found something at that time. And as you heard, the rancher came by and he didn't see anything. And I'm sure other people came by and all other stuff. So that wasn't the case. So he wasn't there. Who knows? Now, the digital and physical breach. Now, disturbing activity occurred at Daniel's residence after he vanished. His closet was ramshacked and his laptop was it was literally excess, which means someone tampered with it. And the family's urging that the Tempe Police Department need to conduct a forensic analysis on his gaming system, personal computers, which they did. And the findings revealed that an unknown individual had been active on the device, examined his search history. Yeah, someone literally was on his device, examined his search history and fooling around with the system. So someone went into his house, more than likely he had his keys and had personal contact with him, started looking through his search history, all of that bull crap, without his consent. Because let's face it, I'm sure Daniel had nothing to do with this person having access to his personal information. So someone literally was trying to cover their tracks. The investigation. Buckeye police, with assistance from UTVs and cadaver dogs and drones and helicopters, searched allegedly over 70 square miles. Cell phone data was placed. Robinson at the crash site on the morning of his disappearance. Apparently, that's what they're saying, that the cell phone data placed him at the crash site on the morning of his disappearance. So he was apparently at that crash site on June 23rd or whatever. That's what they're saying. Okay. A private investigator suggested the crash scene may have been staged, noting unusual odometer readings and ignition activity after the crash. No passenger was found in the vehicle and foul play was not suspected. Yeah, no passenger was found in the vehicle and there was suspiciously no foul play for him to just be there. So where did his body go? It just disappeared. It was only a month. Okay, there wasn't even no evidence that the animal hauled him or mauled him or whatever the hell you call it and ate him. There was no evidence of that either. Want to point that crap out there. Now, there was a few skeletons around there, but in those areas, you're going to find all kinds of skeletons around there. I mean, seriously, it gets crazy. Take a look at these clips.
I really appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
This is David Robinson addressing the crowd of volunteers here to help him look for his son, Daniel. Daniel was last seen in 2021 north of Buckeye in the desert. Investigators finding his car and clothes, but no body.
As hard as it seems, it is. We definitely have to know that, yes, we're out here doing line searches to look for, remains.
And when search volunteers find something unusual here in the desert, like this bone, they mark it with a flag, take a picture, and document its location so it can be investigated by law enforcement. Buckeye Police and the Arizona Rangers also participated in today's search. If you'd like to help David find his son, you can find resources at pleasehelpfinddaniel.com.
The family of 25-year-old Daniel Robinson is continuing their search on the ground in Arizona for the young geologist. Robinson disappeared in late June of 2021, leaving a job site in Buckeye, Arizona. Investigators found his Jeep roughly a month after he disappeared. We're grateful today to be joined by Daniel's father, David Robinson. I want to start by talking about a very special guy. What are some of your favorite things about him?
Daniel, he's a very brilliant young man. Of course, I'm a biased father, so of course I'm going to say that. But at the same time, yes, Dan's very brilliant. He's very much a go-getter. He has tons of friends who go down to the college down there. Seem like everybody know him just walking down the street. But definitely a very friendly-oriented person. But what I enjoy the most about him as a father is the way that out of the siblings, he's the one that would go out his way, for instance, just to speak to his grandmothers, to spend time with them, go out the way to make sure he's there for his family. He's the person that also would fill in that gap, so if there's any kind of conflict going on in the family, that's Daniel. He'll fill in that gap. So those are the things that I really love about. Let's say they somehow had some clue a little bit, and Daniel was acting odd, and he did say he wanted to disappear or something. Let's say that. But I really believe some foul play. He probably had intentions to do so. Let's say he had intentions to do so, and then something else happened.
Right.
What is that something?
It does look like from the evidence that the crash was staged to some extent. There's obviously, I don't see how you get that damage from that terrain and the area.
And just for them to say that vehicle was driving that fast, have razors, I've written them things out, and they designed for that terrain. And I punch it up that hill to try to go over that hill. Can't even do it in a razor.
Yeah.
And that's a heavy vehicle.
Right.
And it would never, and all that bouncing and jumping, and
yeah,
you would have never made that speed to get down in that ravine where the airbag crash was deployed.
They still together? Interesting. I'm not even saying what I know about Miss Kendall here. Anyway, but we are here for the same cause here. Okay. Let's move on. Okay, so let me just break it down for you. As you know, the airbag deployment, the car found on its side. I mean, was it driven off the road or something? I mean, that was weird. Okay. Clothes outside the vehicle. Why? If it was in the car when it crashed, would it just fly out or something and just went all over the place? I mean, I'm just saying. It's like someone just literally reared it or something. Or not reared it, or just crashed into it off the road and just start throwing the clothes off the cliff or wherever this hill is and just, call it a day. Literally. Okay. Phone, wallet inside. Why not on his body with his clothes? I mean, if there was no body, that's right. Darn it. Shoot. No skeleton either. Other than skeletons that was around the vicinity, but not in the car. There was no blood, no fingerprints, no signs of animal attack. This is supposed to have been his car, and there was no fingerprints, no blood, no signs of animal attack. Like, okay, I guess this is the most cleanest animal in the world. He ate them and then just cleaned up the car, licked all over. So there was no animal hair or anything of nature stating that animal was there just licking the whole entire car clean. That's what they want us to believe. Straight stage. Stage like you wouldn't believe. Okay. Now, this is what I want you to think about, ladies and gentlemen. When someone leaves their clothes behind, it can mean panic, disorientation, or staging. But each possibility tells a different story. Okay? Keep that in mind. Oh, I'm not done yet. Okay? The last sighting, according to Elliot Robinson, Elliot here, walked back. He said that Daniel walked back to his blue Jeep Renegade that he just loves saying, apparently. Opened the door, sat down and buckled up, so he knew every solitary action. He walked to his Jeep. He opened the door. He sat down and buckled up. So he stood there and watched him vividly of him doing these exact things. Creepy. Looked at Elliot, waved goodbye, and then drove off into the desert. Who stands there and look at all that in 100-degree weather? Elliot later, this is old Ken Elliott here, later found Robinson Jeep tracks heading further into the desert, which he took as a sign something was wrong. So old Elliot here, because he's very in detail and just intuition, okay? Ken Elliott called his co-workers on the phone, like, guess what? Ken, he acted nah. And Robinson's father, this is what Ken Elliott. He called co-workers and Robinson's father. I'm sorry, this is David, but no one had seen Robinson since. Daniel Robinson. Not sure why this man showed so much interest in Daniel when they had just recently freaking met. Not like they had this long, blatant, beautiful freaking relationship. Like, who are you, brother? I mean, thank you for being concerned, but you are so sketchy to me. Now, the discrepancies in Ken Elliott's statements, investigations, and public discussions have noted that Elliott gave different versions of the timeline and details in separate interviews. For example, statement, he said they arrived at the site around 9 a.m. and Robinson left at 9:15. Remember that? And another, he said they arrived, I think 9:30, and Daniel left at 9:45. A missed call from Robinson phone to Elliott at 9:28 suggests the timing may have been adjusted to match the call log, or he never saw Daniel at all. There's another option. I'm just saying. So to sum it up, Ken Elliott here was not a pre-existing friend of Daniel Robinson. They were not co-workers at the same job site. I mean, they were co-workers at the same job site, I'm sorry. And Ken was the only credible witness to Robinson in the last moments before he simply vanished. Ken's account is central to the case, but his statements have been inconsistent. He had more gaps in his freaking statement, just like Holy Grail kitty cat Katelyn. Okay. So his statements have and are inconsistent, and investigation remains ongoing. Now let's get on to the deep theories, baby. And this is where I really get. These are my theories, okay? These are my theories. Okay. Let's start with theory one, the accident and the disorientation that people keep freaking saying. Let me just move some things here. Let's put this over here. There we go. So you guys can see the theory. There we go. Okay, now you can see the theory. Fantastic. Okay. Now, Ken Elliott has said that Daniel was disoriented and seemed distracted before driving away from the site. He also said he drove around the next day because he just was so concerned. He's such a good citizen. You know, he was so concerned that he drove around the next day when Ken didn't show up at the site. Later, the Jeep being found only 3 miles from his work site, tipped over, okay, with his closed cell phone that had been wiped clean, his wallet and another person's remains, because it wasn't his remains. The cop said the car sped up 30 miles per hour trying to go up some terrain, which is a low hill, as you saw there, this here. And then crashed and rolled over, allegedly. The PI said that there's no evidence of the car speeding up. He even tried it with his own car, and he said it's not possible going up that hill with that speed. There's more evidence of it slowing down before it crashed and just stopped. He also said there was damage done to the lower front and the roof. The lower front and the roof, pointing again to the crash being staged, because the damage to the car wouldn't have been done from crashing into a freaking ravine, especially the front here. Okay. Yeah. Absolutely. Oh, I'm not done yet. Because the damage to the car wouldn't have been done crashing into the ravine, but more so from head-on collision. He also said he found the car had red paint in it, as you heard David say, had red paint on it, meaning it hit something else, because there's nothing in the desert that had red paint on it, and it wasn't blood. They also said that the Jeep had 40 more ignition cycles, not miles, I'm sorry, 40 more ignition cycles after it had crashed, meaning someone tried to start the ignition a total of 43 times after the airbags were deployed, which means it wasn't crashed over. Like, why would you try to start a car if it was tipped over already? Which means it wasn't tipped over at that time, okay? There's also an 11-mile discrepancy from the police recorded per private investigator, who had said that the car must have crashed/stopped somewhere and then staged where they later found it. Oh, yeah. The PI also said that there was a 4-hour time gap from when the crash was recorded to the last time it was being seen. I mean, what was he doing for those 4 hours? Just saying. So there was a 4-hour time gap from the crash was allegedly recorded to the last time it was being seen. What was he doing within those 4 hours? I don't know. Also, all of Daniel's posts from his Instagram were deleted after his disappearance. I want to point that out. Probably the person who went into his house and cleared his computer, and person who apparently had his cell phone. We already know who has had close contact with him, and I'm going to give you the list of suspects in just a moment. Okay? Maybe Ken's story was all just made up to hide his secret agenda to kill and not tell what else he did. And then later discard his belongings when he was done with it, since he seemed to mention Daniel's car so vividly. I mean, he mentioned his car like a lot through his little testimony. Like, he remembered his fucking car. Theory 2. His car was stolen by this mysterious Katelyn woman, and maybe she had a boyfriend and they tortured Kid and kept his car to later when the case was settling down a little bit and they dumped it in a remote area. Wouldn't be unusual or uncommon. Theory 3, voluntary walk away. Ken said Daniel simply walked away and got into his car, but Ken details of what he did were odd. He said he asked about the weather and then he just walked away and got into his car, put on his seatbelt and drove away in his 2017 blue-gray Jeep Renegade. It was too many unnecessary details. It makes you wonder if Daniel ever showed up at all, and the whole Ken story was just all bullshit. Theory 4, foul play. The Jeep was found with someone else's remains. Well, not in the Jeep, but around the vicinity. Someone else's remains was there with Daniel's wallet, clothes, etc. His dad said his son's clothes, possessions, and car were handed over to him, okay, as soon as he arrived in Arizona from South Carolina instead of being examined as evidence. So, but July 6th, after his disappearance, the cops went to Dane's apartment and they said it looked like someone went into Daniel Robinson's apartment in Tempe and ransacked his closet and accessed his laptop. Daniel's family convinced the Tempe Police Department to do forensics work on all of Daniel's electronics, including his personal computer and gaming system, because that was missing too. The results, I mean, seriously, it was just, seriously, they ramshacked and just damaged a lot of shit. The results of the forensic work indicated that someone had been looking at Daniel's search history, just following around. I mean, it was literally looking through his work history and fooling around in his computer, among other things, which I'll explain later. Oh, and the careless police, as they were, because remember, David had to tell them to do the shit they're doing right now. If he didn't tell them to do it, if he wasn't persistent, they wouldn't have done nothing. His crap would have been getting cold and collecting dust somewhere in their cabinet of cases. They didn't give a crap about this case. I mean, they're racing cells down there for real. I mean, really, okay? And I'm not done yet. Absolutely. So the cops was careless, as you can see, and the cops was very careless. I just want to point that out. Very, very careless. I mean, very careless. They didn't care about this case. They really didn't care about the case. They really didn't. They really did not care about this case. Okay? After returning his clothes to his dad, you know, okay, which is crazy. The Buckeye Police Department labeled on back Daniel's clothing, which they have marked and pounded for safekeeping, marked not evidence, but safekeeping. Could this have been a ploy to cover up his death? Was Daniel the only black man in the area? That's a question as well. Then it's this Katelyn woman who was accusing Daniel of being obsessed, and she was the only one aside from Ken who knew and last spoke or talked to Daniel, well, as far as we know. But there's more evidence to suspect others. Maybe she and her boyfriend retaliated and did something to Daniel because whoever did this knew where he stayed, had access to his car, house keys, cell phone, and apparently wanted to erase any signs of communication with them. There's only one person who comes to mind who could have done this, and I'll reveal that later. 5, the stage crash. The Jeep was found almost a month later in July of 2021. Okay, somewhere in July. Judging from what the rancher said, it was not there between July 17 and July 19. And as you know, it was found completely trashed with his clothes, cell phones, and belongings. It seemed staged in a cover-up, especially after what the private investigator, McGrath, had said, that it looked like it crashed somewhere else and that it was hit head-on. Judging from the front of the car being smashed, okay? Not to mention the red paint that was found. The PI said the ignition was turned over 46 more times and that there was an additional 11 miles on the car odometer. that registered after it crashed. Now here's the flaws. Ken's story, Daniel actions on behalf of one man's testimony. The conditions of the Jeep, the secret woman, the cops give back Daniel's clothes without investigating it. I could go on, but I think you all get the picture. I must say, something about this case feels incomplete. The physical evidence doesn't match the emotional patterns, which means this is a huge cover-up. Literally. Well, I'm not done yet. Now, here is my analysis of this entire timeline of suspects, okay? After everything I just told you, okay? We can account that Daniel was communicating via texting and hooking up with Katelyn from June 14, 2021 to June 22nd, at least she says. We can also conclude that Katelyn and Daniel stopped texting per what she claims on June 22nd, 2026, a day before his disappearance. We can also account that Daniel was last seen per Ken Elliott testimony on June 23rd, 2021, and that Ken suspiciously drove around looking for him. Yes, looking for a man he doesn't know well. Let him tell it. We can also conclude on July 6th, the cops went into Ken's apartment and discovered that it was ransacked and items were tampered with, such as his laptop, his gaming system. There was also some weed laying around. It is legal in Arizona and not unusual for Daniel to smoke it. At least that's what people are saying. I don't know if it's been validated. I didn't see any reports of his dad validating that. I'll let you know if I did later on. But there weren't any signs of foul play, and it didn't look like Daniel packed up and just went somewhere. They did notice that he went to the Waffle House on June 22nd, 2021. And upon speaking to the crew and looking at CCTV at the Waffle House, they said that Daniel ate some of his food there and then took the rest to go. She did say that he did come there often. That's what one of the attendants who attended to Daniel the day he came. Okay. She said he did come there often. She said she couldn't pinpoint, but something seemed off about him that day from the last time. However, David, his father, said that he wasn't that much of a frequent customer and he only been there maybe once or twice before. So how can she analyze if he was acting weird or not? I'm not sure how his father would know that, but it is what it is. The same night, Daniel texts his sister emergency. It still is on June 22nd. Texts his sister emergency. Okay. This is something they did whenever one of them needed help. So she called her dad. He told her to go see him. She did, but he wasn't there. It was more than likely because he was at the Waffle House at this time. He did, however, go see her later. And he said he did this to test her to see how fast she responds, which is odd. But, he was acting weird that day anyway. So something was definitely going on that he wasn't telling people. Then later, the cops found a co-worker / colleague named Roger actually invited Daniel to live with him until he got on his feet. I'm assuming Daniel obviously did. It was not confirmed or denied because Daniel had his own place. They often carpool to work, which is a key clue here. Okay. Roger said he was out of town from June 16th to June 20th. He was out of state dealing with some family issues because his father suddenly got very ill. That's what Roger said. Upon returning back to work on June 21st, he noticed that Daniel had gone into the office, which is weird because Daniel hardly went into the office. He often worked in the field. He loved being outside in nature. He also noticed that Daniel didn't cut his hair in a while, so it was starting to grow back. So he just assumed he was just trying to grow his hair out. He did say hi to Daniel, but Daniel was short with him, and Roger said that it was unusual. Daniel was normally very friendly and talkative. Roger did ask Daniel if he wanted to go get breakfast. Initially, Daniel said no, but later Daniel texted him on a, yes, like, okay, I'll tell you why I go. On the drive there, Roger asked Daniel if he was okay and about the girl he was talking to. Now, this is weird because just earlier, the cops said that Daniel went to the Waffle House. I don't know what time of day he went to the Waffle House, so I'm assuming it was later on the day. So I guess this is a waffle and chicken. I don't know. I guess you can eat that any time of the day. I don't know. I don't eat that stuff, but I'm just saying I'm a vegetarian, but I just thought it was interesting. I never even had waffles and chicken when I was eating meat. But whatever, it doesn't matter. Anyway, on the drive there, to this restaurant so they can get breakfast, him and Roger, okay? Roger, because, Daniel was suspiciously quiet. He wasn't really talking very much. He seemed like he had a lot on his mind. On a drive there, Roger asked Daniel if he was okay. And then he asked him about the girl he was talking to, just sparkled some kind of conversation. And again, Daniel didn't say anything. Not much anyway. Roger then got a phone call from his sister. After he got off the phone, Daniel did ask Roger about what he thought about miracles. He also started talking about religion and God and said that maybe, I don't know, they should believe in miracles and maybe he should believe in miracles. Roger said that was weird because they never talked about religion. Just brought this notice he was going through. Now, you understand, his dad said this, and to rectify why Daniel was bringing this up. Okay, so not Roger thought, but Daniel, father David thought this after hearing this testimony from Roger, because Daniel is a Christian, so he is somewhat religious, but not heavily religious. So he knows about religion. He just don't, live by it, dedicatedly. So anyway, David just thought that Daniel brought this up because he noticed Roger was going through a rough time and thought this would help him. Please note again that Daniel was raised a Christian, but then Daniel asked Roger if he had trusted him, and he asked if he would trust him even if they weren't friends. He then asked this is what Roger said that Daniel asked him. He then asked if he, that he trusted him, and and would he trust them if they weren't friends, which is an odd question to ask, but this is coming from Roger's point of view. He then suggested that Roger should get rid of his ego and need to change his story. Not sure why he thought that and why he said that. The story he was talking about. So it was weird. Like, what story was he referring to? I feel like there's gaps missing in this conversation. This is like coming off as the whole Katelyn, the whole Holy Grail kitty cat woman. Okay. So again, stuff that Daniel heard on the podcast. So people just assume this is stuff they may have heard on that podcast or something, this religious podcast that really inspired him, apparently. I don't know. This is what they're saying. Now I'm going to break down everything, but I would say that I believe that Katelyn and Ken and maybe even Roger were in on whatever happened to Daniel because they both seemed very interested in him. I will also say that Katelyn targeted Daniel thinking because he was missing half of his arm and because he wasn't super tall, he was young, and then maybe he was slow or easy to take advantage of, which she did take advantage of him. Okay, so this is what she did. She got drunk and took advantage of this young boy. He's not a bad looking boy. And it's thought, he's missing an arm. This is beautiful. I can just use this boy and just push him off on whatever. He's an idiot, And that's exactly how it seemed that she thought of him and treated him, judging from their conversations back and forth, which lead me to believe this Katelyn person is probably older than he is. I believe Daniel communicated one last time and they met up. And she and others did some sinful things to Daniel. They knew that they had to cover the tracks, so they took his car and house keys, trying to erase anything that would lead them up with him. Okay, and of course, stole his gaming console. I don't know if they stole his gaming console or his gaming console was tampered with. I don't know. That part of his gaming console is a little sketch. And then when the dust settled, they drove his car before having someone purposely crash it or push it into the ravine, as you see from that picture. Okay. Just saying. One side of the car is more badly damaged than the other, meaning the car crashed. The car that crashed into it was a red car. This also explains why they tried to start it several times after they crashed into it, because maybe their agenda to have it get pushed off the ravine didn't work at that time, and they thought maybe they could just start it and just jump out of the car or some crap like that. I don't know, but apparently they wanted to do something. Okay, this is just my scenario. Okay, this is all legend. I deeply researched everything. Okay, just want to point that out. I should have put that up here. I don't know why I put my warnings up there. Why didn't I do that? Let me put my warnings up there in just a second before I say this. So yes, this also explains why they tried to start it several times after they crashed into it. Meaning either driving this car or what? They weren't really driving it. I think they were more so hiding the car. I say that because of the high alert for this car. It would have been so hard to joyride without getting caught. Ken, Roger, and his alleged sister, who may have been the girl Daniel slept with, all may have had something to do with his death. That is my analysis. I am highly skeptical of the theory that he simply went into the desert, this robe, succumbed to a freaking, this is the rumor that's going around here, and succumbed to a head injury or exposure. Because any military professional, survivor expert would confirm that stripping naked is the absolute last thing a person does in a survival situation, even following a traumatic head injury. It is simply not a credible explanation for why his clothes were found separated from his body in the environment if his body was found, which it was not found. And David said Daniel wouldn't leave to go on some kind of sabbatical. This is another theory, that he left to go on some sabbatical and not tell his family. He also said he don't believe his son was a stalker creep like Katelyn trying to make him out to be. Because judging from the short answers that Katelyn did share, it seemed like he was just nonchalant. Okay, it is what it is. What I'm going to do. That's what it seemed like to me. Just saying. Now, to end this scenario, let me just play my warnings, which I should have done in the beginning. Let me play that to get rid of any legal, advocacies and issues.
Please note that this is all alleged. I've never met any of these people. I've deeply researched all of my information. This is a trigger warning. In this video, I may be talking about or showing sensitive material about some subjects or topics that may be disturbing or upsetting or may bring forth some troubling memories, as you read in the description or title. With that said, either end the video now or brace yourself. Aside from that, enjoy.
All right, beautiful. Okay, first, while I'm ending this show, and I want to thank you guys for staying out the duration of this video, we're going to honor his father's efforts. Searches. His dad, David, has not stopped searching for his son. He continues to post, go on several podcasts, TV shows, etc. He has started other organizations of other missing young men, boys, ladies, and girls. However, he's been met with roadblocks and disappointment. Criticism of police. The police are treating this case with no care. Most of the investigation and effort was due to David's money, his persistence, and volunteers. Independent crash analysis. The crashing of the Jeep was an obvious stage, as we all know, obviously staged. Media silence has been definitely noticeable. This case has received virtually little news coverage, very few trending indications and news stories in the media. It contributes to the racial component, and the data shows that Black people's missing cases are not taken seriously. Patterns in missing cases. As you can see, there's more Black kids or Hispanic kids or colored kids coming up missing than any other race, and the case literally being cold and not taken with great care or persistence. Literally, we don't get news, media feed, nothing. It's like no one cares. And as I stated several times, there's a trafficking ring that's been going back decades of Black missing kids, young kids, teenagers. And I tell you this now, there is definitely a Black Jeffrey Epstein, and the story is sick, and you'd be surprised who the clients are. And that person will get exposed. So will it be. So that is why the cases and disappearances are ignored, because the racial factor. To sum it up, you don't even have to be Black. You can just be just not Caucasian in general. You can be Chinese, Asian, Italian, whatever, just not Caucasian. Not Gabby Petito or whatever the case may be, just not Caucasian. And your case would be literally freaking in, or unless you're persistent, you got money, and you're well known, and you know some people, no one will give two flying figs about whoever came up missing and whatever happened to them. Okay? I'm going to be realistic here. Let me put that back up here. Now, the disappearances of this is really adamant and it's critical. So please share this video. And I'm going to say here, based on everything we discussed, please tell me what theory that makes sense to you and why. And I'm going to end it. Daniel Robinson deserves answers. His family deserves closure. And visibility matters. Share this live. Keep his name alive. And join me on Thursday as we uncover another missing person case titled Christy Lee Rogers. His link to his websites and his foundations is below. Donate if you can. And thank you for staying out the duration of this video. Again, hit the like button and y'all have a wonderful, wonderful night. Thank you so much. Bye.